Hi everyone! In this video we will factor a polynomial completely. Factor negative 3m cubed plus 45m squared minus 108m. The very first thing we always want to check when we're factoring is we look for the greatest common factor. And between all of these it looks like there's an m in common, and our first one is negative 3. If we could find it to get into the form of a equals 1, that would be much easier to factor. So let's see if each of these are divisible by negative 3. So if I take positive 45 and divide it by negative 3, I end up getting negative 15. So far it could be part of our greatest common factor. Let's take negative 108 and divide it by negative 3. Negative 108 divided by negative 3 in my calculator is positive 36. That means all of these are divisible by negative 3, and it looks like each of them have an m in common, so the greatest common factor here is negative 3m. Let's go ahead and divide it out of each term and see what we're left with. Negative 3m, and we're left with positive 1m squared, and I'm not going to put the 1 there because 1 times m squared keeps its value. Positive 45 divided by negative 3 we found is negative 15, so minus 15, and we factored one of the m's out, so we're left with 1. And negative 108 divided by negative 3 gave us positive 36, so positive 36, and one of the m's canceled out with one of the m's that we factored out, so we have just positive 36. Now we have our greatest common factor clear factored out to the beginning, and now we have a trinomial, and the numbers are smaller, which makes factoring much easier. So we always look to see if we can find a greatest common factor because it makes factoring much, much nicer. Now that I have the form of a equals 1, we can go ahead and take our last number, or last term 36, and find all of the factors of 36. The factors of 36 starting at 1 are 1 and 36. 2, because it's even, will go in times 18. 3 times 12. 4 goes in as well. 4 times 9. 5 does not go into 36 evenly, but 6 does. 6 times 6. And because I have the same number, it means that I'm done, because if I go any further, I'm just going to end up going down the other side of the factors that I've already found. So now that I know that, I'm going to look at our signs. This is a positive. If it's positive, this means that my binomials will have the same, or my factors will have the same sign. And this first sign tells me that they will both be negative. So I'll fill in all of my factors with negatives. And now I want to find which combination will give me the middle term of negative 15. So starting at the first, when I add those together, I get negative 37. Adding the next two together gives me negative 20. Adding the next two is negative 15, and that's exactly what we were looking for, is negative 15. So the combination of our factors that work will be negative 3 and negative 12. So let's rewrite this. We have negative 3m times m squared. We will be replacing the negative 15 with the two numbers we just found. So negative 3, and don't forget we have the variable m, and minus 12, again, keeping the variable m, and then plus 36, since we didn't do anything with that. Now we can go ahead and factor by grouping. We'll group our first two together and our second two together and find the greatest common factor. Between our first two, m squared minus 3m, the greatest common factor is m. So we'll pull it out and divide both of those by m. M squared divided by m is m. Minus 3m divided by m is minus 3. Between negative 12m and positive 36, it looks like I can divide them both by 12. And because the first one's negative, let's go ahead and make it negative 12. Dividing the first by negative 12 leaves me with a positive m. Positive 36 divided by negative 12 is negative 3. And now I can see that I have two terms, again, in which I have a binomial that's in common, so I can factor it out of both of these terms. M minus 3, and factoring it out of the first one, we're left with m. Factoring it out of the second one, we're left with minus 12. And don't forget our greatest common factor, minus 3m or negative 3m. And now we have factored our polynomial completely down. We have our two binomials and the greatest common factor on the outside. If we wanted to go ahead and check this, we would FOIL the two binomials together and then distribute the negative 3m. This is a great way to make sure that we end up with the original problem. I won't be demonstrating that here in this video, but it is a good way to check your work and make sure that you have the correct answer. Ours is right here, and this is our factored form of our polynomial, and we're all done.